All right, let's talk about storytelling. You've been doing a lot of research on this lately. So much great stuff out there.
Yeah, it really is amazing. You can get lost down a rabbit hole for sure.
Totally. And I think the biggest takeaway is that anyone can be a better storyteller.
Right. Oh, absolutely. It's a skill you can develop.
Exactly. So we're not talking about like writing the next great American novel here. We're talking about telling better stories in our everyday lives.
Yeah, in our conversations, at work, with friends.
Yeah, exactly. So where do we even begin? Like, what are the fundamentals?
Well, the first thing is structure. Having a framework to build your story around.
Okay, so like a blueprint.
Exactly, and make sure you hit all the key points.
So what does that look like? What kind of framework are we talking about?
One that's really easy to remember is CART.
CART.
Yeah.
Okay, I like it.
Stands for context, adversity, resolution, and takeaway.
All right, break that down for me.
So context is setting the scene. Who, what, when, where. Then you have the adversity, which is the conflict or challenge. What makes things interesting?
Okay, so that's where the drama comes in.
Exactly.
And then the resolution.
That's how the challenge is overcome. What happens, what the character does.
And the takeaway.
The takeaway is the lesson learned, the so what.
Ah, I see. So CART.
Yeah.
Like a roadmap for your story.
Exactly.
Makes sense. But even with a roadmap, you can still get lost. Or the journey can be kind of boring.
Ha ha. Right.
So how do we make our stories more captivating?
Yeah. That's where those enhancement techniques come in.
Ooh, enhancement techniques. I like the sound of that.
They're like the spices that add flavor to your story.
Okay, so tell me more. How do we spice things up?
Well, one technique is raising questions throughout your story to create suspense.
Ooh, keep people on the edge of their seats.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You also want to share the character's thoughts and feelings so people can connect with the story on a deeper level.
Makes it more relatable.
Right. And then there's dialogue, bringing the story to life with the character's actual words.
Okay, so raising questions, sharing thoughts and feelings, and dialogue. Those are our three main spices.
Yeah, you could say that.
Awesome. I'm already feeling like a better storyteller.
Yeah.
But what about finding stories to tell? Sometimes I feel like my life is just not that interesting.
I hear ya.
Oh.
But everyone has stories worth telling.
You think so?
I know so. It's just about knowing how to uncover them.
Okay, so how do we do that? What are the secrets to unearthing those hidden gems?
One technique is called first, best, last, worst.
First, best, last, worst.
Yep. It's a way to jog your memory and find those forgotten experiences.
How does it work?
You choose a theme, like travel or jobs or hobbies,
Yeah.
and then you ask yourself 4 questions related to that theme. What was your first theme, your best theme, your last theme, and your worst theme?
Interesting. So if I chose travel as my theme, I'd ask myself, what was my first trip? What was my best trip? My last trip? And my worst trip?
Exactly.
And those answers would spark potential stories.
Precisely.
Wow. Okay, I like this.
It's like a treasure hunt through the archives of your own life.
I love that.
Yeah.
So we've got our CART framework, we've got our enhancement techniques, and now we've got a way to unearth those hidden stories from our past. This is great.
It is, isn't it? But it's not just about the past. We also want to be finding stories in the present moment.
Ah, good point.
How do you do that?
That's where the homework for life concept comes in.
Homework for life.
Yeah. It's about training yourself to notice those story-worthy moments as they happen.
Okay. I'm intrigued. What's the assignment?
It's simple. At the end of each day, ask yourself, if I had to tell a story from today, what would it be?
So it's like we're always on the lookout for potential stories.
Exactly.
Cool. I like that.
And once you identify those moments, jot them down. Just a few keywords or a brief description.
So we don't forget.
Right.
Makes sense. But what about organization? If we're constantly finding these story-worthy moments, it's going to get overwhelming pretty quickly.
Yeah, you need a system, a story bank.
A story bank. I like it. A place to store all those stories so you can easily access them when you need them.
So what kind of information goes in this bank?
You want to keep it simple. Title, brief summary, main point or takeaway,
Got it.
and maybe some tags or use cases.
Use cases?
Yeah. Like, is this a story about resilience or overcoming adversity? Tagging them helps you find the right story for the right moment.
Ah, clever. It makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
So we're finding stories, organizing them, and then what's next? Do we just start telling them to anyone who will listen?
Well, it's helpful to practice first.
Okay, but practicing in front of a mirror always feels so weird.
I know, right? Try practicing in your room,
Nice.
but use objects as your audience.
Objects.
Yeah, like your lamp could be one person, a bookshelf another.
Uh-huh.
It helps you get used to speaking to an audience.
Without the pressure of actual people.
Exactly.
Smart. And once we've practiced solo,
Get feedback from someone, a friend, a family member, or even a language tutor.
language tutor.
Yeah, they're great listeners and can give you feedback on your delivery.
That's a good idea.
Plus, they're usually more affordable than a storytelling coach.
True. Okay, so we practice, we get feedback,
Yeah,
and then it's showtime.
you got it.
But do we need to wait for some big opportunity to share our stories?
No, not at all.
Yeah.
Start small. Incorporate little stories into your everyday conversations.
Oh, I like that. Make it a habit.
Exactly.
But how? What kind of situations are good for sharing these mini stories?
Well, a really easy one is when someone asks, "How are you?" Instead of saying "fine," share a quick story that reveals something about yourself.
Ooh, interesting. So, like, instead of just giving a one-word answer, I could say something like, I had this really interesting experience this morning.
Exactly.
It's like we're taking those small moments and turning them into something special.
Absolutely.
I love it.
It's about making our conversations more engaging, more memorable.
And more meaningful.
Yes.
I love that. So it's not just about telling better stories. It's about living a more story-filled life.
That's beautiful.
I like that. A more story-filled life.
Yeah. Yeah, and you know what's really cool?
What's that?
It's not just about entertaining others. Storytelling can actually help us understand ourselves better.
Oh, totally. Like,
Yeah.
when I think back on certain experiences and I try to shape them into a story, it helps me make sense of what happened and why I felt the way I did.
Yeah, it's like therapy, but with words.
Haha. I like that. Storytelling therapy.
Right.
So it's a win-win. We become better storytellers.
Yeah.
And we get to know ourselves better in the process.
Exactly.
And you know what else?
What?
I think it can also make us more empathetic. When we hear other people's stories, we start to see the world from their perspective.
Absolutely. It broadens our understanding of the human experience.
And I think it also helps us connect with people on a deeper level.
Yeah, when you share a story with someone, you're letting them into your world, your thoughts, your feelings.
Like you're inviting them in to see things from your point of view.
Right, and that can create a real sense of intimacy.
Especially when you share stories that are personal, stories that reveal your vulnerabilities.
It takes courage to do that.
It does, but it's so worth it.
I agree. Because when you share your story, you're giving other people permission to share theirs.
It's like you're saying, hey, it's okay to be open and honest. It's okay to let people see the real you.
Exactly.
And that can be really powerful.
Yeah.
So storytelling is not just about entertainment. It's about self-discovery, empathy,
Yeah.
connection. It's about making our lives and the lives of those around us more rich and meaningful.
Well said.
I like that.
And you know, all this talk about storytelling has got me thinking,
Right.
what's your story?
That's a good question.
What story-worthy moment happened to you today or this week? What experience left an imprint on your heart?
Yeah. I think we all have those moments if we just take the time to notice them.
And what's the takeaway? What did you learn from that experience?
And how can you share that story with others in a way that's engaging and
Yeah.
memorable and maybe even inspiring?
Exactly.
I think that's a great challenge for all of us to find our stories and share them with the world.
Absolutely.
So go out there and tell your story.
The world needs to hear it. And you know what's really cool about all this?
What's that?
It's not just about becoming a better storyteller. It's about living a more story-filled life.
Ooh, I like that. A more story-filled life.
Yeah. Being present. Noticing those little moments. Finding the meaning in them.
Yeah, and then sharing them with others.
Exactly.
Because our stories, they have the power to connect us, to inspire us, to teach us.
And to make us laugh.
Yes. Laughter is so important.
Absolutely.
So yeah, I think that's a great place to wrap things up. Go out there, live a story-filled life, and don't forget to share your stories because the world needs to hear them.
Couldn't have said it better myself.